In this video, we're going to create a summary report, and we're going to start off by putting our report criteria in. And then we're going to enter some of that criteria in here so that we can link the report to the criteria later on. And it doesn't have to be accurate in any way, just have some default criteria in there. And we're going to put in our report title. We're going to put in our column headings. So and then we're going to start creating our report. So place the cursor into the cell where you want the report to be created from, and then we're going to click on Summary Report. The business unit is going to be linked to our criteria here. The table is going to be the ledger table. Whenever you are extracting the balances or amounts from the system, you will always want to be extracting from the ledger table, since that is the only table that holds any amounts in SunSystems. Hit OK. Some other report criteria gets filled in, and for the account code, we're going to click in here and we're going to link it to the account filter criteria on the spreadsheet itself. And then click in the one below. So we have from 6 to 7. The accounting period, double click on accounting period, and we're going to select BA for balance. When we select BA for balance, we have the accounting periods from the beginning of time and to the current period selected. And hit OK. We're going to add also the account type as a report criteria into our filter. So we find that field under the shadow account table, click on report type and right click on it, then select add to filter. And we're going to highlight this and then link it to the filter or to the spreadsheet in C8 here. Now we need to add our output items. Double click account code, double click description, double click account type under the shadow account table, and scroll down until you find the lookup code, double click on that, and then we're going to collapse that and then select base amount. Under the report style, we're going to uncheck width, uncheck item names because we're going to use our own column headings, and then we're simply going to click OK to extract the report. Okay, now we have the report output. Now we can start applying some formatting to this report, and I'm going to start by removing the grid lines. Click on View and uncheck grid line. Going to add some formatting to the filter section here. Let's just use like that. And account balances, we're going to format our title here. Do the same with the column headings. add some borders. Okay, now our report is starting to take shape. We're going to modify the account type, and instead of extracting the account type code, we're going to change that to a description. So we find our the cell that contains the report, double click on it, find the account type in here, double click on it, and change the extraction type to description. Click OK. Click OK again, and you can see how the report is now updated with the account type description. Now, if you want to change the range of accounts, you can simply not, because it is linked, you can double click on the cell that has the account code from, and change your criteria simply by holding down the Shift key and selecting a range. Or you can hold down the Control key to select a non-contiguous range. So we'll just select a range of accounts here, click OK. This data is updated. Click on the Infor BI Q&A ribbon tab and select Recalculate worksheet to update the report. You can type it in here, and again you can right-click and select Recalculate worksheet to update the report as well. Now if you want to, you can add a little grouping on these columns so you can automatically hide the report criteria from the data, and click Group. And that simply adds a little collapse button here. Now you can collapse and hide the filter criteria. And this is one example of how you can go about creating a summary report with Infor BI Q&A. In this example, we are going to create a balance sheet report using the summary link function. I have already started typing in the balance sheet rows as I want them laid out on my spreadsheet, so I've just manually typed those in. I've also typed in the account ranges that I want to link to for a particular row on the balance sheet report. So I'm now going to specify some other filter criteria, and I want the business unit, for example, and the actual accounting period that I want to run the report from. And as always, type in the some default report parameters in here so that you have something to link to later on. Now, for this particular report, I want to see period balances, or period balance for the current period and the prior period. And I also want to see last year balance for the same period and also year end. Now that I have the rough draft of my report laid out, I want to start adding the summary link formulas into the report that will actually extract the values out of Sun. So I'm going to put my cursor right here next to the very first row of the report and against the first column. And then I'm going to click Summary Link. Just move that to the side and enlarge that a little bit. And the business unit, I'm going to link to the business unit that we have here. And then the table, I'm going to double click and select the ledger table. And we always select the ledger table when you're extracting amounts from SunSystems. And then on the account code, we're going to link it to the accounts that I have here on my spreadsheet in these columns from and to. So it should show me a preview of those accounts that are linked to. Accounting period, and because this is a balance sheet type report, I'm going to use BA for balance, but I'm going to use the current period override. And so in my case here, this will be C5, which links back to cell C5 or period 3, 2005. And then simply click OK. And then the only field we want to output is the base amount, and then simply click OK. And now I essentially have all of the parameters linked both to the accounts, to the business unit, and to the period. And now I can continue by copying this formula and simply pasting it into the next column and then linking it to the prior period. So double click on the formula, and we're only going to change the period value, the accounting period value, to link to the prior period. So in this case, instead of being BA for balance, we're going to do BH or balance last period. And again, leaving the current period override intact. Click OK and OK again. And then we're going to paste that into the next column here for the last year balances. And so in order to get this the same period last year, again, we paste the formula over, double click on it, go into accounting period. And again, because this is a balance sheet, we want to use BE for balance this period last year. Leaving the current period override again intact and hitting OK and OK again. We again want to copy and paste that to the last column in order to get our year-end number, and double click, and then we change the accounting period, and from the drop down we're going to select BK balance at year end, and then simply offset the period by the total number of periods in the calendar year. And so in this case we're going to go -12 to go to the balance as of last year, and then hit OK. And this will now give us all of the formulas for every column, current, prior balances, and same year, last year, and year end. So what we can do now is simply to copy these formulas down against every row that has accounts mapped to it and where we need to extract data from Sun. Like that. And then we can proceed with adding in the Excel formulas for our totals. Like that. Now, we're not so concerned with no values being pulled back just yet, as once we refresh the report, all the values will get actually pulled back correctly. Now, at this point, we're going to proceed with formatting the report. And you can apply, of course, any formatting you like. So this here is just for demonstration purposes. I'll remove the grid lines. And these columns here, column G and H, are actually not going to be shown on the report. But we'll add some formatting to those as well, just to indicate that they belong to a different section here. So okay, and then we'll add some borders to the totals. And now our report is starting to take some shape. Like that. Now we will continue with recalculating or refreshing the report just to see how the values are being extracted back here. But just before we do that, just add some final formatting. And to update the report, we simply click on the Info BI Q&A tab and then click on Recalculate. Now that the report is recalculated, we can adjust our column widths here slightly and have a look at the report. Now, the other thing you can do for certain sections of the report, you may want to reverse the signs. So what you can do is that you can double click on the formula and then under the base amount, double click on the base amount and then select reverse sign. And you can also use a different scaling factor. So by clicking on the scaling factor drop down, you can choose a different scaling factor for your output. And just note that if you make any changes like that to the formula, then you would have to copy that formula, down for a particular column and make the same changes to the other formulas for the other columns. So the formulas in a way become column specific because every column is pointing to a different period, but down they are dynamically linked to these accounts here. So there is no need to go into each and every formula, just one formula for every column, and then simply copy that down. You notice how we have these accounts from and to. There is another way of specifying account ranges because you may have non-contiguous ranges of account represented for representing a particular report line on the balance sheet. So what you can do is that you can use two back arrows to indicate that you're using contiguous or non-contiguous ranges, then two dots to specify a range, and then comma to specify individual accounts. And if you do that, then you don't, of course, need the other column for the range, the two columns, because everything is now, the entire range is actually specified inside the that one cell using two back arrows, two dots for a contiguous range, and then commas for non-contiguous ranges of codes. And this was another short example of showing you how you can create a summary report using Infor BI Q&A.